And here we are, second video of the day, and this one I got to see on a special preview last Monday. So this one's only a week late. Ex Machina is a week and a half late, so I'm catching up. So this is the second review of the day, and it is Kingsman, the Secret Service, directed by Matthew Vaughn and starring amongst others Colin Firth, Taron Egerton, Michael Caine, Samuel L. Jackson, Jack Davenport, Mark Strong, big shout for Mark Strong, he's a very solid performer who I like a great deal, and Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, he of Star Wars fame. Written also by Jane Goldman, which is important because she's written a number of films that I've really enjoyed, including Stardust and Kick-Ass. So if the names Matthew Vaughn, Jane Goldman, Stardust and Kick-Ass give you an idea of what we're talking about, then the name Colin Firth may come as a bit of a surprise. Colin Firth stars as Harry Hart, who is a member of the Kingsman, the Secret Service of the title. Kingsmen are an elite group of gentlemen formed in the early part of the 20th century who have basically decided that what the world needs is another secret agency that goes around doing good deeds, fighting bad guys, and generally blowing things up in dramatic fashion. Now, it's fair to say that the casting of Colin Firth is entirely deliberate. When you think of Colin Firth, I imagine most people in the UK do not think super spy, martial arts expert, stone cold killer. You're very wrong. No bones about it, we're going to get this out of the way. 2 thumbs up. Okay? Kick-Ass was 2 thumbs up. This is 2 thumbs up. This is fantastic. It's so much fun. It is incredibly violent. It is very sweary. This is not a nice film. This is the kind of film that I really need my flatmate Sean to see because it's going to produce the Sean cackle. And I haven't mentioned this before. The Sean cackle is where Sean sees something that is funny enough that makes him laugh spontaneously and without inhibition. And it's one of my favourite things in the world because it's a terrific laugh. I really want him to see Kingsman because I want to hear his reaction, and I think there's going to be a certain amount of cackling. The action sequences are a credit to all concerned. So Colin Firth is fantastic. He is Harry Hart, who is a member of the Kingsman, who is trying to atone for a mission earlier in his life when one of his fellow Kingsmen died. And Taron Egerton plays Eggsy Unwin, who you may have seen from the trailer, who is the son of said ex-colleague. He's grown up a bit of a wrong-un, as we might say, despite being quite prodigiously mentally and physically gifted in a lot of ways, which is all kind of shaped neatly in the film. In the meantime, Samuel L. Jackson as Richmond Valentine has some sort of nefarious scheme, which again becomes apparent very, very early on. And there is a great deal of training, there is a great deal of action sequences, there is a great deal of ridiculous quotable dialogue. It is a terrific film. Mark Hamill is in there as a professor who gets kidnapped and does a lovely job setting himself up to a certain extent. The whole thing is based on an original comic book, but this is the film adaptation, maybe the first of many. I suspect this one will do well enough to get a sequel. I'm trying to, without going into spoilers territory, I would say there is a tremendous scene in which Colin Firth as Harry Hart goes into a church. Can't say any more about it. Just, gosh, someone did a lot of hard work to put that one together. This film is very close to my heart because it's right up my street. This is what I want action films to be. It's funny. It's emotional at places. There are some really hard-hitting punches in this one. Emotionally, there are some sequences that are kind of devastating. It's clever. It's much smarter than the violence. This is the thing. Films are not a zero-sum game. It's not the case that if a film is violent, that reduces the amount of clever in it. It doesn't work like that. This film is violent and clever. Who knew? I love this so much. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film. I strongly recommend anyone who thinks that super black comedy with violence is funny. This is funny to a certain extent. It's funny in the way that Kick-Ass is funny, although it's not quite as sweary as Kick-Ass. It's also funny in the way that something like Fight Club is funny, in that there is humour so black that the only response to it is to laugh or walk out. And this is not the kind of film I'm going to walk out of. So yes, again, Kingsman, massive 2 thumbs up. Yeah, of the films so far this year, this is the current leader because Birdman is a very worthy and brilliant and clever and interesting film. But Kick-Ass is the film I want to go and buy on DVD and subject all my friends to in case they didn't see it in the cinema, because it's hilarious and funny, and I want to team it up. I want to do a triple bill. I want to do Kick-Ass, Scott Pilgrim, and Kingsman back to back as a trilogy. And if you can't enjoy that, then I'm not entirely sure. Actually, it's not fair to say I'm not entirely sure why we're friends, because some of my friends don't enjoy these films. Hello, John. Hello, Chris Peppers. But this is my humour on screen. This is definitely my personality and my humour on screen. It's fabulous. I thoroughly enjoyed it, as you can tell by the fact that I've been whittering on about it for 5 minutes instead of 3, which is what Ex Machina got. Despite the fact that Ex Machina is also a really interesting and brilliant film, but this was hilarious and funny and brilliant, and I loved it. Please go and see it. It's fantastic.